Gentlemen, thank you for joining me again today on this podcast. I always enjoy talking to you guys. Remind everybody who you are and what you do. And Greg, we'll start with you.
Greg Williams, founder and president of Arcadia Cognerati. I am a code writer for human behavior pattern recognition analysis, and Brian and I conduct real-time in-person training on those skills.
All right. And Brian, tell us who you are.
So I'm Senior VP of Operations for Arcadia Cognerati, and yeah, I work with Greg one as a consulting firm and experts in human behavior and what we do, and we do training courses for folks as well.
Very cool. So the last time you guys were on the show, Brian, you pretty much said at the very beginning, and you've said this in episodes since, and I don't know if you're scarred by an event. I guess we can get to this, but you said that you think that gas stations are the most dangerous place on earth. So why do you feel that way?
Okay, so first, maybe I should clarify they're potentially the most dangerous, one of the most dangerous places on earth. I guess I should caveat that with that statement, but take a look at what you see on the news. You don't even notice it anymore, how many times a gas station gets robbed or someone gets attacked there or something happens at a gas station. And there's a number of reasons why. So I'll try and give it quick, down and dirty. But first of all, how we look at different areas, I'll give you a little kind of peek into some of the stuff we do in our training courses is something called geographics and how humans interact with their terrain. So I'll give you an example, like an anchor point is like somewhere like your home. Only certain people are welcome in your home. No one can just walk in off the street off your home. We're looking at a homicide situation, right? Then you have things like habitual areas. So habitual areas, that's the shopping mall, that's the gas station, that's a two-way street where anyone can go, right? And then you have things like natural lines of drift that connect you there. Well, the idea is a gas station is a habitual area. So anyone can go there. Anyone is welcome there. And now the reason why it's potentially from a danger standpoint is one, think about it, the entire place is filled with highly flammable, highly explosive material. So right off the bat, it's more dangerous than going to the car dealership down the street, right? So you have a number of factors, and it also draws certain people in based on its location as well. So you've got, a bum can hang out there and beg for money or get really, really cheap food. Everyone has to stop there for gas, and you have to stop. So you're automatically stopped, your engine is off, and you have the gas tank open with the gas pump in there. So you're just generally speaking in a vulnerable position. Right. So they become magnets for crime because of how humans interact with the terrain there. Not necessarily about a gas station. It's literally because of the behavior of all humans at a gas station, it becomes a much larger potential for crime. So that's what I mean to say by it. And because it's something we've stopped at our whole life to fill up with gas, we've done that thousands of times in your life. Your brain shuts off, right? You're just going through the motions and not focusing on what's actually going on. So that's why you have all of these factors combined that make it a very, very potentially dangerous location. But just with a little bit of basic, situational awareness and stuff we'll talk about, right? You can negate a lot of that, right? You can save yourself a little bit. You can help yourself. But given all of these factors, that's what makes them generally very potentially dangerous places.
And Andy, let me add a little bit of science to that as well. And
Sure.
Brian did a great job of breaking it down. But if you look on its face in the domain of geographics, you would say, yeah, but it's not unlike a mall or a library or
Right.
the local Kroger's, which are also habitual areas. But you have to think about the lion on the savannah. Where is he going to hunt? He or she is going to hunt at a watering hole. Why? Because the people have come to watering holes thousands of times, and it blends together all the previous experiences. Very rarely did they ever get attacked there. But then we also add, how is it different than a library or a shopping mall? The idea is that you're going to likely have money or a credit card out and ready to go. And you're going to say, yeah, but I do that at a shopping center. No, but a shopping center is a different experience. You're surrounded by everybody else that's shopping. And you're saying, yeah, but isn't that the same as a gas station? No, because when you're shopping is a place where you interact with other people. Sometimes people go there in a small town like Gunnison just to meet everybody. They have a routine. They go there at 6 a.m. every Saturday morning or whatever. So the idea is that this geographic habitual area has raised itself up. It's elevated because you're going to make a short stop with money. You're generally going to be so single-minded or focused to run in and pay or get your receipt or go that you're not going to look around first. Look at shopping. Shopping, we even call it window shopping. You're expressly taking the time to look around. You're picking up items. You're talking to people. So your situation awareness in this area is more highly redundant. You're more not paying attention. Geez, Brian, thanks for the help. The idea. It's early. I just got done running. Yeah, go on, please. But so listen to this too, Andy. What else do you have in your car? It's a rental sled, and you return it to the airport. So you got your luggage with your Delta Premier Mile badge on it. People look at that. That you think that lion, when he's sitting there like this at the watering hole, isn't looking and going, hey, how about the gimpy antelope? Yeah, gimpy antelope's pretty fat. That's what they do. So you are not going to encounter that inside of a mall, at a shopping area, or at a library, but you will get that at a gas station. So Brian is uniquely aware of the dangers of a gas station, and that's why he keeps bringing them up. And it's an easy thing to get into your mind because you do it every week.
Right. And that's a point that you guys both brought up. You know, we go to gas stations all the time. You know, I've gone to a gas station. I've never been robbed so far, knock on wood, at a gas station. So for the people who are listening and saying, like, you know, I've done this 1,000 times, you know, why do I need to care? It hasn't happened to me before, so it's probably never going to happen to me in the first place.
So that's in general, you know, you say yes, you know, the chances of you getting robbed at a gas station are maybe not astronomically high, but it's much higher than anywhere else you're going to go, right? So it's much higher than when you're sitting in the living room of your house, right? It's much higher than when you're at your office or inside your car, right? There's all these different locations you can pick, but this is one where you do need to have that heightened sense of awareness because you're going through the motions, you're not paying attention. Plus, no one just goes to the gas station when they've got all the time in the world to fill up with gas. It's where you're either, oh crap, I forgot to fill up and we got to hit the road, or man, I gotta do this on the way to go do something else, right? So because of that, you're typically in a rush to get somewhere else, which means you're not attending to your environment. You're focused on what you have going on. So that's why we always say pay attention in those certain areas.
Yeah, and Andy, you had couple of episodes back, you had Jason Patton on talking about fire safety. Great, excellent episode. Everybody make sure that you tune into Andy's show and watch that episode.
Thank you.
But very similarly, okay, those things that we tend to take for granted, those things that we adapt to, that change blindness occurs in a situation where it's repeated over and over and over, and it's a rote memory. Not a lot of titillation, not a lot of excitement going on in that. So we tend to there's not a lot of excitement walking by your smoke alarm in your hallway every day. So what happens is, except for the twice a year that you change the batteries, you tune it out. But it's the most important early warning signal in your house.
Sure.
So I'm telling you the gift of time and distance is important. I'm telling you that on your way to the gas station, I would pull across the street and watch it for a few minutes before I pulled into the lot. I'll tell you, I would go during daylight hours when it's busy, because you stand a better chance with the group mentality, and somebody's probably not going to try to strike you in the shadows. And you're going to look at me like I'm crazy. You're going to say, look, tomorrow morning, I'm going to be shaving in my car, a la Giuliani, while I'm having a taco. Do you get what I'm trying to say? And pulling up to a pump and trying to do all of those things while I'm talking to my wife on the cell phone and doing the fuel. When we engage our polyphasic skills, when we do more than one thing at a time, when we don't give ourselves time, our brain likes to do things in a very specific order and make order out of chaos. We're risking missing something right in front of us. And also, you don't normally engage people at a gas station. So when you're all getting the pumps, even though you're only a couple of feet away, you rarely make eye contact. You're usually going, ooh, flip-flops and pajama bottoms, right? You're internal, making fun of yourself or somebody else. And you don't reach across and go, hi, how much fuel are you getting this morning? So there are certain boundaries at a gas station, which means a person can gain access quicker. What does that mean? The person can walk up to you and go, hey, did you get your receipt? And immediately you think, hey, that person works there, right? And then the next thing you know, they're up in your face and they're going, give up the cheese and don't make a sound. You have to be anticipating those things. That's likely so unlikely to happen in the egg aisle of your local grocery store. You know what I'm saying? There's not a lot of spontaneous homicides or robberies or kidnappings there. But a gas station, where is the gas station located? It's located at a place that's easy to get to. That location must be, or they're not going to make any money. It's
Right.
probably located where vehicles drive, which means near a freeway, on the way back to an airport. Those areas alone heighten the awareness. I don't want to get sued by Shell or Sunrise Fuel or something saying, hey, you're telling it. But the statistics bear it out. Those
Yeah.
are dangerous
Mhm.
places. Dude, Andy, you're going to take your family and your kids to the beach. Don't you think about drowning? Don't you think about sharks? Don't you think? But we never think about those things because a gas station is one of those things that just blends in.
Very cool. And a lot of good stuff there. You both talked about how this is a habitual area, gas stations, anybody can come and go. So I will tell you, when I go fill up at Costco, I feel a little bit safer because only Costco members can get gas there. So what am I picking up on there?
No, that's a great point. So what you're talking about is is access, right? So you have only certain people can access the pumps at Costco. You have to be a Costco member, right? So therefore you're now limiting automatically. Costco has just limited the people who are going to come in. Two, it's a different location. Greg just talked about the location of where a gas station typically is. Costco
Sure.
gas station is at a Costco. That's it. Now those are going to be near major streets and busier areas, but it's also can be set back into a kind of different area of town because it's a massive store and it has all this other infrastructure. So it's typically in a different area. Plus, gas stations are everywhere. Costco, when they do a study on where they're going to put their location, guess what's a big determining factor? Who's going to afford to come to Costco? Not that it's super expensive, but you do have to pay to go there, right? Yeah, you get the savings of buying all this stuff in bulk. And yeah, we've got all that bulk stuff at our house too. My wife hates taking me to Costco because I'm like, geez, look at this. This is amazing. I mean, I can get 17 pounds of potato chips for only like $4. Like,
Who
I'm in.
doesn't
She's like,
need that? Right.
he's like, keep that out of the house. I'm going to end up eating it all. So stuff like that. So that determines a who's going to go there, who's allowed to go there. So a Costco gas station is almost more of an anchor point than it is a habitual area, right? Because only certain people are allowed to go there. You can't use that pump if you're not a member. So it's only going to track. Plus, it doesn't have a convenience store attached to it, right? You got to be a member at the Costco to go inside, unless you're going there for the dollar hot dogs, which I love going there for that because Costco
That's
hot
brilliant.
dogs are amazing. And I sit there with my daughter. And we always get a hot dog when we go there. But
Very cool.
but it's be based on the location, the geographics, and the type of facility is. It's going to change the behavior you're going to see associated with it.
Certainly. And it's also going to engage homophily. Homophily is the scientific birds of a feather flock together. So when birds of a feather flock together, there's a head bird that's in charge of keeping in line to make sure that a mouse or a flippin' gerbil doesn't sneak in, right? And so at your Costco gas station, somebody is assigned, not just your card, but somebody's assigned to keep an eye on that place, to make sure that it's clean, to make sure nobody lingers there too long. A lot of times you won't have that at your Go-Low gas station where Brian is filming live from today. So you have to understand that when I have the risk of somebody finding me out, for example, what do we notice operating at a motel or a hotel when you come off the freeway late at night? Sometimes it's ring bell to get the person behind the counter to come up there. I'm leaving right away. I'm not going to check in. I'm going to find a new motel. Why? Because ring bell means they're doing one of two things. They're up checking the rooms, which means they're also the security, which is a non-starter for me, or they're in the back sleeping on a cot. And don't tell me you don't do that midnights. I know exactly what your shift is up to. So I need somebody that I know is paying attention. So you've got the butcher at your local Kroger's. You've got a librarian saying, keep it down at the bookstore. If you go to a gas station and there's nobody looking outside and you say, yeah, Andy's going to stop me and go, but there's cameras. The cameras will film your homicide. And then Brian and I will be on Dr. Carlos's show going step by step on how you got murdered. You need to know that somebody has got your six when you're pumping that fuel. You also need to walk the W. You need to plug in the gas pump, walk away from your vehicle close to where the button is in case there's an emergency, right? And you need to look at the other people. Be moving. Think, what if a sniper has me in their sights right now? And you're going, oh, that's hypervigilant. No, it's not. It's a game I play. I play a game right now. Is that car paying attention? Are they going to pull in next to me? Now I'm by the windshield. Now I'm by the front bumper. Now I'm by the side of the car. Now I'm by the back. I make eye contact to a person. I give them a quick nod. They know right away that I'm alert, and they're going to go to somebody weaker. They're going to go to the limpy, fat antelope. That's what I want them to do. That's hard. We're never going to do away with crime, Andy, but we can do away with us being targeted as a victim.
I'm sorry, go ahead, Andy, because what I do want to talk about one of the things Greg brought up about
Sure, please
things
do.
you can do at a gas station. And he just talked about it. And a great example was just literally yesterday when I was filling up with gas, which I thought was perfect because I'm like, oh, I'm going on Andy's show tomorrow to talk about this. But the idea is you keep moving. So what I do is I also pick up any trash out of my truck. I move around a lot, and I go around to the back, check something. And what it does when you move around like that, because I can't go anywhere, it's pumping gas, it's doing its thing, right? So I move around, get all the trash out, anything that left over that I have in there. And then when you're doing that, the best thing is like Greg said, you're looking at everyone else who's at the gas station, right? So I look in before I even get out, I look inside the windows. If anyone watching, behind me, I have on my virtual background on Zoom is a crime scene at a gas station, and it's at night. But the beauty is those inside areas are so lit up that I'm standing on the outside. I can look through the windows and the doors and see what's going on in there. Meaning, am I driving into an armed robbery in progress right now? I want to look before I leap, right? So the idea is when you're walking or you're standing there, you got your gas is pumping, you're moving around like that. And here's what it does. All right. One, it heightens your awareness and you can take in what's happening. Two, you can look around and see everyone, how down and in everyone. They even have little TV screens at some gas pumps just to suck you in the whole time you're there. And meanwhile, the guy's sneaking up on the other side of your car. He's cracking the door open and stealing your purse or your wallet or whatever. And you're never even going to know until you're down the street. Right. So the idea of moving around is you can tell how everyone else is. What you also pick up on is anyone else who's situationally aware, because there's only two types of people who are situationally aware: people who, like police officers or yourself, if you're trying to be safe, and criminals. And they're looking around. Sure enough, what do I see over there in the corner? Right. Guy who's smoking a cigarette on the side of the building. He's got no shoes on. Right. And he's got like his bag sitting next to him. And guess who he was looking at? Me. Why? Because all that moving around, he went, something's up with this dude, right? And guess what else he didn't do? He didn't come and approach me and ask me for money. He didn't come up and try to mess with me. Why? Because I'm giving off that appearance that I'm paying attention to my surroundings. And that goes into another thing, is how to deal with people too when they come up to me. And my favorite line is, when you've got someone that walks up, one, I always make immediate eye contact and I orient in their direction, meaning I make sure I am facing them directly with my feet pointed at them, my hips and my shoulders. I'm not doing the look over the shoulder thing. I turn so they know you've got my full attention, right? That's automatically, they'll pick that up. And I've looked right at people before they ever open their mouth. And I just said, you got the wrong guy. And you know what they did? They turned and walked away without saying a thing, because they knew, I'm not going to, this ruse isn't going to work with this guy. I'll move on to the next. And that's all it took. So there's different tactics you can use, different methods you can use at those places, but it's a great spot because you're stuck there. So do something with your time,
And Andy, I would say that you need to rehearse one of those too. Mine is I put both of my hands up like this and I go, not today, buddy. And I turn my head slightly like that and say, not today, buddy. And they make the eye contact and go, he knows what I'm here for, and he's going to walk off. That also gives me a trigger line. The trigger line means that if the person continues walking towards me after I've given him that warning, that admonition, that no, then I know that I have to start getting ready for a defensive strike or something else is occurring. Those standoffs are important. Even in Brian's joking crime scene background, you see the sign for ATM. ATM alone raises your suspicion and your danger level. Andy, do me a favor, and everybody listening to the broadcast, by the way, you did a great one with Spencer Corson, too, about going back to school. Second favorite recent one, other than this one we're doing right now. But look that up. Andy, I would like your listeners to look around their environment today and this week and tell me what place that they go to routinely that when they're walking out, there's numbers 654321 on the door. Those numbers are there to make sure that the counter people can make an identification after a shooting or a shoplifting or a gas drive off or something else. You don't have that at the library. You don't have that at the Kroger. The idea is that you're in a place that has a heightened level of activity and you have to meet that. I'll tell you one funny thing, because two things you said. One, I don't have a Costco. This is Gunnison, for the love of God, but I'm always looking for a good deal. So on Friday of last week, I bought 50 eggs because the eggs were on such a great deal. It was $5 for a pack of 50 eggs. And because we had our City Market card, Shelly wasn't with me, of course, I got them for $4. Yeah. So here I come back with this 3-tier thing of eggs. And she looks at me and goes, what are you thinking? So
There's two of us.
Breakfast, lunch, and dinner since Friday. And giving them away in little gift baskets and stuff, right? But the idea is that we went on that Saturday while she was still beating me and yelling at me. we went to a yard sale. And at the yard sale, they had this little bucket and they were giving away free umbrellas. You know, those little umbrellas that you should have in your car. You press a button and they extend out and you can put them in. So we grabbed a black one. You're doing what Brian said. You're walking the W. You're outside of your car. You're paying attention. And you see somebody lingering in the shadows and they might be paying attention to you. One, get in your car and leave. Okay. You can pay later. You can tell the cop that shows up, anything else. Don't stick around and try to invite trouble. But the second thing that you might be able to do is take that unfolded, you know, make sure that it's all folded up and in its neat package, because unfolded, it looks like an umbrella. But take that and just hold it in your hand and tap it on your leg as you're walking around. People don't know what that is. They don't know that it's not an ASP security baton or some sort of electric thing. My thing is, if I'm in a tough neighborhood, okay, I have to act tough to fit in. If I act like a victim or the fat antelope, listen, you know, limping around with a cane in that area might get you to the top of that list. So think about the image. Think always about the image that you're projecting. You don't want to invite trouble, and you don't want to act like a tough guy and get somebody to prove that you're tough, right?
Right.
But that balance is necessary. And some little tool like that you can get free at a yard sale might be the difference between somebody going on down the road to the next gas station. And that's okay.
Very cool. So what I hear you guys talking about over and over again is the importance of nonverbal communication. When you're at this place, you are telling people, hey, I don't really want any trouble. And Brian, like you said, when somebody approaches you, you're putting your feet towards them, your hips, shoulders. And for anybody who's ever done any sort of self-defense training, that's what you do to prepare to defend yourself. And it also makes you look like you're more alert. I think that's fantastic. So when let's say I need gas and I'm sitting at an intersection, there's a 7-Eleven off to my right. What should I be looking for? What's a good baseline for a gas station for me to know, okay, I think this place is going to be okay?
So right off the bat, and this saying works in so many different areas, but what you walk past is what you're willing to accept. So if you see that gas station and you know what, the sign's kind of messed up and there's trash on the ground and, you know, there's might be some people hanging out on the side or back. Look, it's not making a judgment, but that person whoever runs that gas station doesn't care enough to take care of those things. Okay. You're not typically going to find that stuff with the chain ones, the big ones, you know, I don't want to mention, but you know, because why? Because, hey, they've got a corporate structure and they've got a plan and their managers have to do this and you will do this, right? So they hold people to that. So generally speaking, that's kind of the first things you're looking for. Then are there people hang out? Like all you got to do is I'm going to a gas station. What behavior do I expect to see typically at a gas station? So then I already have a comparative baseline from the millions of times I've been to a gas station. So before I even show up, I can see what seems odd or different, right? Then you could look at just the behavior. Are people in there? What's going on? Where are people parked? Anytime I pull into a gas station, especially if it's a different neighborhood that I've never been to, right? I just do a quick little loop, right? If it goes behind there, you can. If not, just through the pumps and then find my spot, because it just allows me to take a look at everything that's going on in there. And then same thing, as I'm pulling up, before I ever get out of my car, right? Always look around, see what's going on, and look through the windows to the inside of the gas station to see if literally there's someone isn't standing there holding a gun to the cashier's head, because that can and does happen all the time.
Right.
So those are just big picture things that I would look for. And I'm sure Greg has more to
add. No, those are brilliant and they're simple. And Brian, what I would add, Andy, for your listeners, always conduct a mental rehearsal. For example, you're more likely to get ganked by a loved one, that somebody you know, a domestic relationship, when you're at a cafeteria at work, okay, than you are doing anything else. It's probably choking on food. You get what I'm trying to say? Losing your foot to diabetes because you're not eating healthy, you bastard, or having somebody walk in and try to gank you because they're a family member and you left your underwear on the bed. So if I knew that these were the likely three things at the cafeteria at work, what would I do when I go to lunch? Alter my lunch times, don't set a pattern, stand at the door and take a look. Is anybody arguing? Is anybody pushed away? You know, those type of things. So why would it be different for a gas station? I make a note to myself, make sure you get gas. I put the Post-it on my damn steering wheel because I'm too stupid to remember it, right? And then all of a sudden I walk down in the parking lot and I can either race to the gas station or I can take a minute and I can say, okay, what do I need at the gas station? What face do I need to be wearing? What clothes? What are the things that I need to do? Just that minute of mental rehearsal can get you into the zone where you need to be. It's not unlike what you do in martial arts, self-defense, or any place else. You're going to center yourself into that problem. I would say the other thing is that if you find yourself pulling up to a gas station and you have to go, you've not given yourself the gift of time and distance. You haven't done the mental rehearsal. Somebody listening right now is afraid that that's going to be them. Listen, you can pull over in a very well-populated location, pick up your phone and use your cell phone and call the police. When you call the police number should be programmed into your phone. So all you got to do is press a button up by your favorites. You say, I need a non-emergency police number, please. And the dispatcher, whoever answers the phone, says, this is non-emergency, sir. Say, look, I'm at 8th and I, and I'm sitting here looking at a gas station. I need gas. There's no trouble. I'm not in trouble, but I'm afraid to go across there. I'm almost out of gas. Is this a tough neighborhood? Is this a bad stretch of town? And the coppers will be honest with you. The coppers will be, listen, stay in your car. We had a gang shooting there last weekend. That's what they're there for. You listen, cops don't just go call to call. Cops want to prevent crime. And so if you call somebody and say, I'm just about to pull into this, whatever, insert here, they will help you. And that's the greatest gift I can give anybody is nowadays technology allows you to do that. In the old days, it was much harder to contact a local cop. You had to chase one down or pull over to cell phone and dial 0 and then go through all these things. Now, and listen, Andy, if your folks don't have the local sheriff's office, the local police department, the local fire department programmed into their phone, what do you think it's going to look like when they're trying to scramble to find it? Remember I said leave if something comes up? Now you've just plug the hose back in so you don't create a situation. You jumped in your car, you locked it, you started it, and you're looking at your phone and you're going, is it a 3 or is it a 9? That's a non-starter. Rehearsal saves time and it saves lives.
Right. And I appreciate the tip about putting the non-emergency line into your phone. I do that. And, you know, when I did it, because I actually had to call it one day to report something that wasn't quite an emergency. I don't remember what it was. And my wife's looking at me like, you have the phone number for the sheriff's department in your phone? Really? You know, and I'm like, it paid off right now, didn't it? You know, so that's good. Now, you talked just a second ago, Greg, about, you know, whether or not I'm in a bad neighborhood. We talked about, you know, at Costco, things are a little bit different. So if I'm in a good neighborhood, if I'm in a good stretch of town, can I just go to any gas station and not worry about it because it's the good side of town? Or can the things that we've talked about happen at any gas station?
That's such a great question. This is a shout out to the Brentwood Mall gas station and Kevin, a person we talked to recently. Back when I was teaching combat hunter on the road to Marines that are pre-deployment and then in country with Marines and soldiers, I would always tell them about the Brentwood Mall. Things are different at the Brentwood Mall. If you've ever been to California, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. The columns, the Greek bath, all this other stuff. The guy playing Fly Me to the Moon when you come into the mall. Listen, you're going to relax at that place because you're going to think that there's a larger standard of care. My two answers to that would be prove it. I don't know that, okay? And if I'm in a place where I'm going to relax my guard, my alertness has to be heightened. It's a balancing act, okay? When I say bad part of town, I'm talking about 27 years of cop experience, another 6 of being in the military and having the last 15 years devoted to security and safety. That means I know the difference between a bad part of town. So get thee to a drive along or ride along. All ride alongs are free. You ride along in your neighborhood. You'll see a side of your neighborhood you never thought.
Never seen.
Every neighborhood in North Carolina or Texas or Alaska has a community watch and has people that get together and talk about their neighborhood. The very first ride along, they go, oh my Lord, I never thought it was like this in my backyard. So that's the first thing. Second thing is you're spot on, as you always are, Andy. When it comes to targeting, okay, certain criminals are going to target the higher end districts because they have to attack less chuds to get their quota. They can steal one car, one purse, one wallet and make it for a week on whatever their dope habit is, let's say. In another area of town, they have to do it consistently 3, 4, 5 times a day at that same location and then run out of the store with a 12-pack or whatever. So the idea is you've got to balance risk so you can understand how much risk you're willing to accept. I'm willing to accept a certain amount of risk because I need fuel right now to get back onto the freeway. Whereas if I have more time, I can say, listen, I'm willing to accept less risk when I go to this high-end restaurant. Call ahead all the time. talk to security. I've never been in a mall where I didn't go down and visit security, and they hate me. I'll tell you right now, because most people that get into those jobs, when I'm standing there, they go, yes. And it's always through a glass, through the little talk hole. And I go, yeah, I'm Greg Williams. I'm a former military guy and police guy. And I'd like to talk to you for a minute about mall security. And they always think I'm selling something. And I go, what are the places I shouldn't go to? What are the most dangerous? What are the exits? When's the last time you had an incident? And they go, is this for like a show or something? And I go, no, it's for me. Before I bring my family to your mall, I'm doing a recce. I'm doing a reconnaissance. People say, you don't do that. Marin, do we do that every time that we're out everywhere? Yeah. We do that with restaurants. We call people that have been at restaurants to find out what the restaurant atmosphere is like. Then we'll walk around in it to decide if that's where we're going that night for dinner. I mean, you got to do that. You're saying that takes too much time out of your day. How much time do you devote to homicide? How much time do you devote to a kidnapping? You know, and you know that thing. A padlock may be enough to keep a person from coming in and grabbing your stuff. Okay. But after the padlock, what do you do next? And that's where you outthink the criminal. A criminal is going to be tactically cunning. He's ready for that risk. Are you? Simple question to ask every day.
Very cool. So a lot of people listening to this show are parents, and they are parents of young drivers who are hitting the road for the first time. Think about, for me real quick, somebody who is, 16, 17 years old. What do you want parents to know to tell their kids when they're out at a gas station? Because I mean, we're all grown men here. We're different. We have different threat levels than they do. What would you suggest?
So the big thing, especially with kids, and you can start them as young as possible. I got the Insurgent at home. It's starting to backfire on me now that she's like 9 and really getting good at this stuff because she's using it against me. She's using it against me. And so, but the idea is I turn as much as I can into a game about people, right? Hey, what's that person doing over there? Because I'll do that. We'll be driving, and the little one in the back, even years ago, was like, hey, that's weird. That guy's wearing a sweatshirt. It's the middle of summer. And I'm like, I know she's on. She's picking stuff up like that, right? So how do I do that even as they get old? Well, the biggest thing is just attention, right? So the younger you are, the worse you have it because you've been raised with a screen in front of you your whole life. It's not your fault, but it is your responsibility, right? So the idea is getting as much habit of them not staring at their phone, right, when they're doing this stuff, because they're going to start to see more that way. So I always try to build it in habits. Hey, when you're in your car, you do not use your phone unless you're completely stopped in a lot and your doors are locked, right? Meaning not at the stoplight. Well, you know what I'm saying? When you're in somewhere, and just building in those habits and just teach them it's about performance and attention and take a look around. So, and then same thing, build habits. All right. With the little one, I go, hey, what do we do before we get out of the car? Take a look around. Okay. That alone will stop you even from stepping out when someone's pulling out of the other pump and they're going to run into you because they don't see you. So this isn't always about like, know, there's a sniper waiting for you. This is about you might get hit by a car, right? So it's really safety and awareness are all the same thing. So I just build in the habits. Before you get out, you do these steps. When you're outside of your car, this is what I want you to do. I want you to tell me every time you go to the gas station, give me the make and model of 3 vehicles that were there. So now they're going around looking. So all you're doing is getting them to just look for stuff in their environment. Little stuff like that it just depends on the kid. But I always focus on anything young is as much as you can build in good habits with their smartphones and all that stuff. You just got to build habits in them, and they'll do it even when you're not around, right? Because you've developed that habit with them.
If you do too much Jason Bourne with your kid is going to commit you to St. Joe's well before you're old enough to go there. Right. And the other thing is, newsflash for all the parents listening, and I love your show because it has outreach to the common human. Okay, folks, your kids are going to hate you. They have to, so they're always throw them out of the house. But no, actually, we know this, and Brian's joking, but scientifically, oxytocin is present when kids and parents bond when they're very young. Oxytocin's a love drug. It's why you could poop in your hand and throw it at your kid, and it would become a wonderful game for all your children in the kitchen. Okay, everybody would laugh. They don't care about that. And then as they get older, what happens is we get into a situation where children develop, their brains develop so they can go out and have a family. At that point, no matter what you say, it sounds like a lecture. No matter what you do, they do that thing and go, oh, mom, oh, dad. That's a survival mechanism. So don't think it's you. It's not. It's every other human with a teenager on the face of the planet. But at the same time, You got to sit them down across from the kitchen table, and you got to look them in the eye, and you got to say, look, I love you. So we're going to get gas this afternoon. And just like you have to have me in the car when you're driving around, the first couple of times you get gas, you're going to have me in the car telling you what's up, and go with them and show them where you stand and why you do the things that you do. The kid ain't going to listen to you the first couple of times. They're going to ride with the music all the way up with their friends and go too fast for conditions. But they have a different learning curve than you do. And you were them. You just don't want to acknowledge it, right? So if you're going to take the time and mentor your kid how to do the laundry or mentor your kid how to drive, then please invest a couple of minutes to show them how to use a credit card, what to do if the credit card is rejected, what to do if you pull up to the pump and you've already parked and gotten out of your car and it says cash only. Those are dilemmas that we're likely going to face. Why not rehearse them? Why not sit there and do a part task training exercise, and you could have flashcards at your kitchen table and make it fun. And the reason I'm gigging on Jason Bourne is there's a bunch of these charlatans that are out there with their shows, and they're telling you how to do the rear neck choke, neck snap, and hide a knife in your wallet and stuff. Dude, if you're already there, you've missed all the cues left to bang. And you're, I don't want to say anything derogatory. My legal team is jumping on me right now. But the idea is rehearsal avoids those. Thinking about an event before it occurs, applying critical thinking to a situation like this and saying, what if? Those are fun games to play, and you get good at it. You pay attention. I love the one that Brian said. I'm going to do that about the number of cars or the color of cars. You make that a game. You remember the game Prediddle? What does that mean? One headlight or whatever else like that? Pop a cop, no stop. When you're driving around with your kids, you come up with these stupid Dr. Seuss-like games to keep them engaged and keep them from killing each other. Why not do that when you go to get gas? Everybody, every marina collector, every soldier of sensor, when you're in that car getting gas, unless you're alone, everybody should be looking up and out.
Very good, guys. I really feel like you guys have given us a great foundation here for what to do when we go to a gas station. Is there anything else that you want everybody to know that maybe I haven't asked about?
Man, that's a good question. Most of these, all right, you see these situations, especially if you're on social media, how many times you're posting stuff about a gas station, this or that. And I love Dr. Carlos. He always tags us because
fun guy.
He's like, hey, just like Arcadia is saying, gas station, because there's a million examples. But it's an example for human behavior overall, right? We get stuck into patterns and routines because they were successful in the past. Therefore, it's mentally, your brain goes, well, it's likely going to be successful in the future because it is. You're not it's not statistically that significant how many people get shot or robbed at a gas station, but it's enough to take into consideration. I don't have to act this way when I'm in the living room watching the White Sox game, having a beer, okay? I only have to do it when I'm in these locations where more likely something is going to happen. So your natural, your brain, your limbic system, the catecholamines that are firing all the time, they want to put you in a groove. So you got to burn a few mental calories, right? Just to get out of that groove every once in a while. And once you build the habit, that's why Greg does the walking the W, you call it. It's like a counter sniper thing. But once you start doing that and you go, I'm going to think about doing this every time I'm at the gas station. You know what? You do it enough. Guess what happens a year later? You're doing it without even realizing you're doing it. That's what we're talking about. Just you build a routine, a morning routine, you build a shower routine, a bedtime routine, right? You do that over and over. So do the same thing for a little bit of situational awareness. And you know what? Start it at a gas station, because guess what will happen? It'll start to transfer over everywhere else you go without you even realizing it.
And why not choose a 0 or low calorie intervention? Why do you have to go out and invest in all these technology or buy this or do that? You're predicting bang. You're predicting that you're going to fall victim. And I'll leave you this one thing from my side. Gasoline, unleaded fuel or mogas is the most dangerous fluid on the face of the planet. More people get sent to the emergency room with gasoline accidents. Gasoline evaporates quickly, which means that you can freeze an area. Gasoline in a confined space can cause you to inhale it and pass out. Gasoline has a low threshold for sparking and flaming. People pour it into the wrong areas and burn down their house. people use it to get the mole out of the yard, and the next thing you know, the neighbor's house is on fire, or there's an explosion risk and you lose fingers or you lose your life. So if you know just that about fuel, and everybody around you, I can trust me, but I don't know about anybody around me.
Right.
They're all playing with the nozzles. Okay. If you're not heightened aware at a gas station, where would you be? There are so many places that you can relax in and around your home or in your backyard or at the beach. Maybe, you choose it, but mitigate the risk early and often at a gas station. And like Brian says, before long, you won't even notice you're doing it, and you'll be much safer for it.
Very good. And I think we all learned a lesson when the East Coast lost gasoline for a couple of days and people were trying to put gas into milk cartons and baskets and dumb stuff like that.
Plastic bags. I saw all kinds of crazy photos.
Yeah. So that was that hurt my hope for humanity. Honestly, in a lot of ways.
Little bit. I died a little bit inside that day.
All right. So last question, rapid fire, real quick. Brian, would you eat a gas station hot dog? Yes or no?
Oh, absolutely.
Greg, what about you?
I've done it, and I will do it again. I'll tell you, it's a long drive from Denver to get to Gunnison, and right halfway there's a KUM and Go. Come and Go gas station in a little town. I think it's Fairplay or something. And I always go in there, and it's always at like 5 a.m. because I take the red eye flights, and I grab all of whatever they have still cooking, a burrito, a hot dog, those unknown things, and I take them on the road. I'm fine.
That is one thing. Gas station food has gotten significantly better over the years. Just did cross country trip with my brother and all that stuff. Secret little thing. If you ever see a little sign that says crispy crunchy, spelled with K's, crispy crunchy,
right?
Best fried chicken tenders you'll ever have, and you can only get them at a gas station. So
think about that.
That's just for your listeners. Anyone knows, get the purple dipping sauce. I don't know what it is, but it's amazing. And
purple dipping sauce.
Yeah, I don't know.
All right, guys, I have very much enjoyed my time with you today. For anybody who is listening, where can they find out more about you?
We've got, as you know, that you listen to every once in a while, the Left of Greg podcast, where we go pretty deep into a whole bunch of different issues. You can scroll through, find something that you might find interesting and listen to it. And that's our perspective on how we approach human behavior with our process and our system. And of course, you can follow us, arcadiacognerati.com. You can sign up at the website, follow us on social media, all that stuff. We try to put out as much free stuff as we possibly can, and we love doing conversations like this, because for especially for folks like you that are listening right now, this audience, you shouldn't have to pay for any of this training. This should be just these are basic skills that we're more than happy to live or teach. The folks we teach, we get into all kinds of different areas, and it's a much different game sort of that we're playing. But for anyone just general safety and awareness, follow us along on social media. I'm always posting little stuff that, oh, I've seen something like that before. Oh, this is what that behavior means. This is what I need to look out for. So just do that, and you'll we can follow along, and we'll try and put as much out as we can.
And know that we're huge Secure Dad fans.
Oh, yeah.
We believe in Andy Murphy and the stuff you're putting out, and that includes your books and your courses. So follow along. You can't go wrong with Andy Murphy.
Guys, I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.